Today we will talk about the concept of info objects. Okay, so info objects is nothing but a building block of BW. So if you're working in a BW projects, we might be heard about or be might be aware of the concept called info objects. So it is a basic building block that covers the BW modeling scenario. So if you see if you see this presentation, you can see there is characteristics, key figures, and unit. So info object is divided into, or you can say info objects are of three types. One is the characteristics, the second one is the key figure, and third one is the unit. So you can say that info object is something like what do you say? It's like something like a data element in the table. All right. Okay. So you have a data element, right? Info object is similar to that. So in every table you have a data element. So info object serves the same purpose except it will be in BW. So to understand more, let's take the example of one table. Okay, I'll go to one table. You know there are some demo tables that has been loaded into the system. For example, we have this car table, right? You know this is car table is the master table of the airline data, where all the data of the airlines is shown here. So we have the client carrier ID. So these are the carrier IDs, the carrier names of all those carrier ID, the currency in which it is built, and the website. And this is the SCAR table, and there is one more table called SPFLI, right? SPFLI is nothing but your flight schedule. So here it will show that for each carrier ID there is a bunch of connection IDs. So like if you sort here, you see, for example, AZ is nothing but Alitalia, a flight from Italy. It has two connection IDs. So that means which has two flights. So it's country from Italy to, this should be DE. DE is nothing but I guess is Frankfurt. It'll show you the country from where it starts, which country it's going, which cities it is from, and to which airport, the departure times, arrival times. So this is another master table called SPFLI, which is nothing but the flight schedule. So these are master tables. Now let's take a look at another table called SBook. All right, let's go back. Yeah, SBook. This is nothing more like a transaction table. It contains all the bookings of the flight. So if you see, there are a lot of entries, almost 20,000. So these are demo tables, all right? So if you see here, if I take all the entries, and I filter out, for example, AA, you can see for this connection ID, which we have in the master table called SPFLI, uh, the flight date is on 5th, the booking ID is 1, and which customer it is. We have the passenger name here, how much luggage weight in units, kg, and how much is the local currency she has paid, in USD she had paid $845, and when did she order the booking, and it's converted into the foreign currency EUR also. Okay, so you have this is a typical example of a transaction table where you have the carrier ID, what connection it has booked, flight date, the booking IDs, weights, amounts, and everything. So most of our examples will be based upon all of these tables. Like we have, let me show you an example here. Most of the examples will be based on these tables which we have. So you can practice in your own systems also. Uh, okay, we have the SCAR table, SPFLI, which you know the flight details, the connection master table, and SBook table. Also, we will create a table called C flight material. Okay, this is to explain in a very, okay, now let me close this. A custom table so as to explain the details in a very understandable way because it will have very less records. Okay, so based on these four tables, we will model our BW, uh, BW analytical perspective. All right. So before we go into the actual, deployment or the creation of the info objects, we have to know the basic principle behind the info objects, right? So if I go here to explain it in more detail, info objects has it's of three types, which I explained. One is called characteristics, key figures, and unit. Okay, key figures. Now characteristics. I will explain here. Okay, characteristics is nothing but your characteristics. Basically, it is something called, where it's like a members of a table. Okay, it does not have any amounts or weight in nothing nothing that can be added or subtracted or multiplied or anything. Say if in case of our flight, it will be the carrier ID, right, and the connection ID, maybe the carrier name. All these are called characteristics because based on these characteristics, we slice and dice the amount or the weights or the other key figures. So basically, these are all characteristics. Now, characteristics, we have three types, right? We have three characteristics. We have the master, not master table, master data, the text, and the hierarchy. All right. So the master data is nothing but what we have seen here: the carrier ID, connection ID, and all can be master data. Text is nothing but the text that is connected to these master data. So as you know, carrier ID, like for example, if I show the table level, okay, so let me go to the table scar. Mm. So you can say this is a master data, right? A, B, A, C, all this called master carrier ID. You can say that car name, all this like is a text data, but belongs to the same characteristics, all right? AA means American Airlines, AC means Air Canada, all those things. Hierarchy, which we'll explain later. Hierarchy is nothing but you can have the data in a hierarchical format also instead of a two-line format. For example, if I go here to the Excel, you can, okay, first car we have the carrier ID, okay, maybe the, the URL of the ID. You see, URL is the currency code, currency code. As you can see, this is all master data, right? Master data. And now you can have the same in texts also. Same. But Here will be the carrier name. This will be the text data. Text data where it will have carrier ID and the carrier name. Alright, this is carrier data and carrier ID and carrier name. And you have the hierarchy data. How will be the hierarchy? Hierarchy data. That means, for example, let's say country here. Okay, country, carrier name or carrier ID you can say. So for example, USA, you have American Airlines or some other flight, Atlanta Express. If you go to India, you have Air India and Indigo Express, right? These are called hierarchy. That means this will be the parent node and these are the child nodes. Same. So you can display the master data either in two dimensions, right? You have columns and rows, or you can display the hierarchical data and text data. So text data you can have in multiple languages also, right? So this is how you model the characteristics of an info object. Now, when it comes to the what do you say, key figures. Key figures is nothing but your amounts, your you call it the weights. Okay, let's look at the table perspective where I'll go to the table called S book. In S book, you can see there is the weight, right? Let me filter by AA. Okay, you see for American Airlines, okay, I'll put the weight not equal to 0 also. Be easy to understand. Not equal to 0. Yeah, we have 1309. So this weight. So for this American Airlines, or take Christopher Sudoff. Okay, like take this. Christoph Sudoff has booked the American Airlines with the connection ID 17. Okay, which will fly on November 5th. It for his the luggage weight is 26 kilo, 26.3 kilos. So all what this is a weight and the unit is displayed here, right? U8 and what is the unit? Same way the amount he has paid here, $422. Okay, it's in local currency, this is in foreign currency. So all these measures we can say where it can be aggregated, multiplied, divided, all mathematical expressions can be done is called key figures, right? Are all called key figures. So we have to design the key figures also as info objects. The third one is called the unit. Okay, unit is nothing. It's very simple. It is the key. It should be the currency key, the weight key. Mostly those two are the most common here. And here I have explained a little bit on the fields that are available under characteristics, fields that are available under key figures, and fields that are available under unit. So let me show you in characteristics. We have the character string with 1333 characters. Numerical text is there, which is nothing but 255 characters. Then signed numerical characteristics. That means you can have, signed numbers can be, there will be sign actually, plus or minus, negative signs and all. The date, time. Same in key figures, if you go, you have the currency, right? Amount field of decimals, DEC, and you have the currency, then you have the floating point. You know what is a floating point, right? Is 16 characters for this type, packed numbers. Okay, so packed numbers, you know what it means. Then date, similar to what you have in characters, we have date here also. Even the time also is here. Then there is integers and quantity. Quantity and currency are the most important here. And for that, the unit. What will be the unit for that? So currency unit is the unit key is there. Okay. So these are the basic overview of how the info objects play a role. So as I mentioned, let's do one thing. Let's create an info object. Okay. One with if you go to scar table, scar table, let's create an info object. Okay, where we have the char ID, and let's display that char ID. So I will go to here. As you know, this is the server which I've logged in, where you have two, you have the two sections like BW repository, where you do all the modeling, the data sources, right? You have the data sources and the favorites, which you can mark as favorite for quick access. This is nothing but my ABAP system. As you can see, it's written ABAP here. I have the HANA modeler. All right. So let me create a info object. So new, you have all these objects that can be created. Let's go to with the info object. So you have the carrier ID, right? So we will create one. C carrier ID, carrier ID info object. You give the name zcar ID. Okay. Copy from and reference object, that will be, I will explain it later. Okay. And then this is the info object type which I was talking about. You have the characteristics, key figure, unit, and we have one something called XXL. XXL is nothing but your large objects, very XXL as the name suggests, very large. It can be a character string, all right? It's a string type called glob. It will be a character string, mostly act like a large string. And the RSTR, that is blob. Blob is nothing but your byte string, which means media, like audio, video, all these things, which we'll explain it later. So right now we'll choose characteristics, and these are the data types that you have under this info object types. I'll select characteristics, and why I'll say character string is because if you go here and check out the char ID, it is char 3 right here, this of char 3. Okay, I'll finish. I'll put this as 3. Okay, this part I will explain you later. So we have 3 sections. One is the general section. This is the general section where you have the technical name, description, short description. I don't know whether we can edit. Yeah, you can edit the short description. And you have external SAP view for master data. These two are grayed out, so you cannot use this. Data type, length, conversion routine, right? When setting up zeros or removing zeros, alpha, right? So we can put a conversion routine here. Case sensitive, high cardinality, all these things will we explain later. Okay, there is something called BI clients, which we will explain later. Then another one called extended. This also can be explained later. And we have put very simple character string and 3. Now we'll activate this. Okay, so once you activate, if you go to the properties tab, you have all the details when it is created on person responsible. You can change last changed by all those things, the DDIC, see the data element what is created and the SID table. Okay, SID table, which is nothing but your surrogate table, right? So if I go to the ABAP system, okay, I don't know, table is not found. Okay, because there is no data. This is just a, you activate this, okay, operations for now it is active. See, as you see, you can see activate version. Now if I, okay, right, this is carrier ID, display data. Hmm. This is our carrier ID. Now you see the properties here. This is what I was telling. You have the master data, text, hierarchies, right? And now we have just created a data element. There is a data element. It does not. We don't call it as a data element. We call this as an info object, but similar to a data element. There is no data that has been imported, or this currently does not contain any data. We have to bring in the data for this carrier ID, right? Let's create one more key figure also. Okay, let's see. S book. Mm, let's create a luggage weight, right? Luggage weight. So I'll create a new info object. Give a name here called C lug weight. I wanted to show you something now. Luggage weight, right? Now luggage weight, how much it is? It is in quantity. Okay, we did it wrongly. We created a characteristics which is wrong. We have to create a key figure. Info object key figure. Okay. See lug weight. Luggage weight. All right. This is not a currency. This is a quantity. All right. Quantity field in a BCD format. So you have all this data types. This is for the amount, right? This is integers, time, you create quantity, finish. Now see the error here. It says it must be between 3 to 9 characters. I'll show you again. Right? 3 to 9 characters is more than 9 characters. So we have to make sure that any if object that we create is less than 9 and more than 3. So how can we can remove a G here. And let's see if this will allow. No, I will remove EI. Right. Yeah. Now it's a lug weight. Z lug weight has been created. It gives a technical name, description, short description. In the general, in the dictionary, you know, it's a quantity in data type. This part we will explain later, these properties. Aggregation is, we have to give an aggregation, whether it's a no aggregation if more than one value exists. Maximum, minimum, and summation. BI clients, we can explain it later. Currency, either you can give a fixed unit here, right? If you see here, if I give here, you can give a fixed unit here. These are nothing but your quantity units. If you give this fixed, it will be like a constant, right? It's constant. So usually what we do is, in these cases, we create unit info objects and say 0 unit. Or I'll show you in the browse section. Say 0 unit, right? You click this and press OK. And that's it. We will activate. Well, that's it. So you have two. I have created a characteristics, just a characteristic. There is no master data or any maintenance. A key figure, all right. These two has been created. And now you might ask me, can you create a unit, right? Usually we don't create much for the unit actually, because we have the standard 0 unit and 0 currency. So we don't do that basically. Okay. So that's about the info objects, very, very basic. We will learn how we will maintain the master data for this, how we'll maintain the text hierarchies maybe later. All right, and that's how we will do it.